Hello friends, welcome to Squaird Plans, where creative planning and organization comes to life. I'm Stephanie, and today we're going to be doing a DIY spring refresh for my half-letter Discbound planner. I'll be making quite a few new items to decorate my planner for the spring season. So let's jump in. And I'll be using a few punches to make the disc holes. I also have a corner rounder punch, a ruler and a Sharpie, this matte coated cardstock, some vellum paper, some acetate transparency paper, these thermal laminating pockets, and another set as well in 5mm thickness, my laminator, and then last but not least, my guillotine cutter for some of the cutting. Okay, you guys, I will have everything that I'm using down below linked, including some of the things that you may not have seen, including my printer, if you just want more information about that. But we are going to start off with some items that I've already pre-printed here that I created myself, which will be my new dashboards for my 6-tab side system in my planner. I have built them all to half-letter size with a bit of a bleed, and now I am cutting them down in groups of, I would say, probably about 3 or 4, so that it's not too thick to go through the cutter, but also gets a lot more done in less time. I am using the crop marks I include with all of my printables to help me with the cutting and getting everything perfectly aligned. I decided to go with a greenery theme for my spring setup. I'm excited for spring, but I definitely didn't want to go florals again this year. I really enjoy kind of more of the like spring renewing, refreshing vibe. So I thought that would be a good way to go to bring some color and some life into my planner, sans the florals. I grabbed pretty much all of these items that I used to build the designs from Creative Market. That is where I get a lot of my graphic elements. If it's not Etsy, it's usually Creative Market. And I built these out or just for myself. But if you guys are interested, let me know in the comments down below if you'd like to see something like this in my shop, and I'll see what I can do. I definitely like offering dashboards and things in my shop. It's just a lot, and there's licensing and things. So I just like to know before I go ahead and put things up if it's something you guys are really interested in or not. So, okay, I have cut down my dashboards and have set those to the side after I punched them. Now we're going to get started on the cover. I did end up printing a couple of layering options for the cover, including an acetate quote that says "Spring Forward." I also have a group of leaves, kind of like a cluster there on the vellum. And then I have the cardstock backer there on just regular cardstock. Kind of the same image that I used on the long-term storage dashboards that I quickly cut at the end of the last segment. Pretty much using similar elements or the same elements throughout the entire planner's theme, having it feel really cohesive this season. So I went ahead and cut down my elements for my cover. I've made quite a few DIY covers in the past, so I had pre-planned to do individual lamination for both the acetate and the vellum, but then changed my mind once I started setting this up and just put the two together into one laminating pocket. It gives me a little less freedom as far as, switching things out, but I'm okay with having it be together in one. Could have saved myself the time and just printed it, the quote with the leafy branches on one paper type, like just on the vellum. But, I wanted to have some options, and I just kind of made the call at the moment when I was deciding to laminate this. I also, got a little ahead of myself and then laminated these two kind of together by accident, and that messed things up a little bit. So I'm going to run these through a couple more times to try to clean up the lamination and make sure it all gets fully laminated onto the individual sheets. I am using 5mm glossy laminate for this. I had pulled out a matte version, which was a 3mm option. I do prefer 5mm, and I usually would like to do a double laminate of 5mm to make it almost like 10mm with these cheaper laminators that most of us have. Gives you a little bit better quality cover without having to have a more industrial type lamination system. And again, it's something I've done in the past in previous DIYs. So if you're interested, it's really a simple process. I could guide you to a video. Just let me know in the comments below if you really want to see that process in action. But this time I just decided to stick with the 5mm lamination since I'm going to have two covers together on the front, which kind of makes it thicker with the two together, almost like a 10mm. And I was going to use my corner rounder punch, but I didn't want to make too round of a corner, and my smallest corner punch there has been used to death and is very dull. So I just went ahead and rounded the corners by hand with my scissors. I think we're getting close to at least getting that ready for the sheet. I do have a little template that I use for half letter punching since it's a little more complicated than punching planners with 9 or 11 discs or even 7 discs. If you're doing an even numbered disc planner, it's a little bit harder to find that starting hole because you don't have a center disc to work off of. And I did make these covers about a 1/2 inch bigger than the standard half letter size, which is 5.5 by 8.5 inches. So these are actually 6 by 9 covers. I wanted to be able to cover the tabs that I have all the way around my planner so that it's a little bit more protected, which is why I went with the bigger size. And now I'm just doing the punching with my single hole punch that is from We Are Memory Keepers. This is a disc power punch. I prefer it over using my Happy Planner punch just because the Happy Planner punch just really doesn't do well with thick materials, and this single hole punch really does great with thick materials. Another thing that's kind of dull in my selection of tools, and I have tried sharpening it with foil and sandpaper even. I've tried all kinds of things and nothing has really cleaned up the dullness in this punch. So I just kind of work with it. It punches through pretty well. It just usually leaves a little hanger on, and I will go back and trim that out with just a pair of scissors when I'm done. Gonna go ahead and punch these two together since, like I said, that punch is pretty strong and can handle thick materials. Also helps keep things better aligned and makes it a little bit easier since the acetate vellum cover is a little bit more flimsy just because the material isn't cardstock within it. I also am going to open up the holes just a smidge as I'm cleaning out those little hangers. It will help it turn on the discs a little bit better as well. So those two projects are done. Next we're on to, I think this is the pocket folder, and I ended up making this kind of on a whim. I had one misprint, and then I was like, well, we could use this for something. And so I'm going to try to make a, simple pocket folder out of these two materials. So I ended up printing the inside cover on the front and the back of one sheet by mistake. So I had that, and then I just went ahead and printed out the image that I'm using for both the cover and some of the dashboards, and using that as kind of like a pocket on top of that misprint. Didn't really think this through before I started, so even though I printed it, I didn't really have a plan for how this pocket was going to lay in. So as I am kind of figuring it out here on camera, you can kind of see it's a bit awkward. I was trying to do a diagonal pocket, I don't know, getting it front and back without having to make a cut and then also fold in all the edges and glue those down was a little bit tricky, but I was trying to maintain the bottom as a fold instead of as a cut that I would have to again refold and recut. So that's why I tried it this way with the diagonal, and we're just gonna see if I can make this work without too much effort. And I am kind of able to do it. I had to recut the diagonals a bit to make sure that they were gonna actually have that point right on the edge of the sheet. I can't really explain very well what I'm doing here. It's more of a visual thing. I mean, again, this was kind of a project that I decided to do on a whim, but I have made I have made I can't even talk right now. I have made pocket folders in the past in a much more deliberate and methodical way. So again, if that's something you want to see, like how to make it well and from scratch, I do have some videos on that I could guide you to, showing you how I make DIY pockets. But this was, again, just kind of like a last minute idea that I had to use up this pocket. And I already started to make a mistake here by gluing down the tab that I was making on itself instead of making it glue to the page, which is what it needs to do. So yeah, it was just me trying to figure it out on the fly, and so things weren't going 100% simply. But it does end up working in the end and gives me another pocket in my planner that is designed with the same theme, which I really like. So I went ahead and kept it and just, made it work. And you can see it's not like fantastic, but again, gets the job done. So basically, I'm just gluing down those tabs that I made to the actual sheet. So it, again, creates a pocket. We've got that fold at the very bottom that works. I was toying around with the idea of making this a laminated pocket too, but I kind of made it, I wouldn't say janky, but it's just not like fancy enough to, I think, laminate it. So I just wanted it for the season, and I'll probably remake it if I reuse the rest of these dashboards and things in the future. So since I have that done, I'm going to go ahead and again punch it with my single hole punch here, just because there's some thicker areas where the pockets overlap. And I'm just going to trim out the holes, clean those up a little bit. But yeah, I think that is pretty cute and fun. Simple, but gets the job done. I also made a laminated sticky dash and pocket folder in the past, and this one is all clear, so I have a little insert that I put into it. You can see it's that gold vellum image with the florals there that I used in my winter refresh. So I'm going to go ahead and replace that with something again more into the theme. So I had another print out of those branches that I used on the cover on vellum and cut that down to size to fit in that pocket, which you'll see. And then finally, because I have on my current cover a little library card holder for my mini library card reading log that I created, I'm just going to replace that and make a new pocket for it to go on the cover of this planner. Just using some green cardstock to match with the theme, but also to keep things a little bit simple. I'm cutting it down to size. I scored the edges for folding in. This is a little bit more of a better way to show you how to actually make a good pocket by folding them in. And then those outside edges is what I'm going to use to glue down to the cover. And one thing I haven't done recently, but I did on my very first attempt at this, was to cut this little half semicircle to make the cards easier to pull out. And I really like that. So I'm bringing that back into this version of my card holder. You could see it there from my winter version, how that is currently on my cover. I'll slip in this vellum sheet into my sticky dash pocket, matching that up. I also need to update the stickies here since I did kind of do a blue theme with my winter refresh. So I'm going to replace a lot of these stickies with things that are a little bit more in the green tones. But let me get this library card pocket on here first. You can see I'm just using a Tombow glue runner to put that glue on the outside of the flaps. And then we will kind of get that set directly there on the cover. And that stuck really, really well. Better than I was expecting. Unfortunately, I was like, I tried to move it and I was like, oh, wait, nope, I guess it's not moving. So it is now part of that cover. But it's fine. I really like the library card reading log that I have there, which was a freebie I gave away years ago. And again, if it's something you see and you're interested in, I can definitely guide you to that video and download. So just replacing out some of those stickies, like I said, with more green tones and just cleaning things up a little bit. Nothing crazy. And I decided to flip that vellum insert there just because I thought it would be easier to see on the back than on the front. And I've got my future log dots there in the flap. And now I'll start replacing out the dashboards that I have in here for that 6-tab system, as I mentioned in the past. So I like to save all these DIYs. So I'll just be putting these to the side somewhere and, maybe using them next year or for a different time. I also replaced out the long-term storage bottom tabs that I have there, those dashboards, with some of the DIYs I made earlier, but I needed to flip through that fast since I had some things showing that I needed to keep private. But you'll see it here in a second through the flip through. Also pulled out that last pocket folder and replaced it with my new one. And then my back cover. Okay, so let's do a full flip through. So here we have my layered cover, and I am going to go ahead and open up some more of these holes since it was sticking just a little bit more than I wanted it to on the rings. I want to make sure it turns pretty easily. Same with this first cover here. So I'll go ahead and do that real quick before we move on through the flip through. Okay. So let's do this one more time. We've got my front cover, my sticky dash here with the green, as well as my little library card holder. I have my first set of dashboards in each of the 6 tabs. Got schedules, and then we're going to go ahead and jump to the reference section here in the back. And then we have the long-term storage dashboards that I mentioned earlier here that you can see now. And these are all very cute. And again, with the theme. And we have that last commonplace dashboard, my pocket folder, and my back cover. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below. Also, go ahead and leave me a comment if you'd like to get in touch. And think about subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, if you'd like to see more of my videos. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. Bye!